Um, Welcome to an evening of protest in poetry and song. I'm Bruce. We'll wait a couple of minutes while people are still logging in, and we're going to use that time to have Naomi and Dale talk about their books for a moment and say why we're here.
Well,
so Naomi and Dale,
yeah.
you want to say a few words about your books?
Do you want to start, Ruth?
Well, whichever. I don't think it matters which one of us starts first.
Okay.
Wrote books in response to a certain politician who shall not be named because he's named too much anyway. And Naomi's was first, and it came out, and I got a copy, and I thought I've been writing poems about this guy off and on for the last 4 years. So there it is, and that's about all I've got to say. I rushed it out, so there's no real distributor, so that if you want a copy, it's available as an ebook, and we can supply you with the address for the ebook. And if you want a book and don't have one, we can let you know my email, and we can go from there.
And how much will that be?
Say.
What's your price?
Oh, $5. But the ebook,
it's a bargain.
Bargain. 23 pages of text though. But the ebook is 99 cents.
Whoa.
Wow. Is that for the 99%?
That's for the 99%.
Right.
And so for everyone in the room as attendees, all that information is in the chat, how to get Dale's book, and then also Naomi's, and then there's information about me. I'll put that in there later as more people arrive. Back to you, Dale and Naomi.
Yeah, well, the idea for this book came to me from a friend who said, you know, your political poems, you should put them all in a chapbook and just send them out into the world right now, because hopefully we're not going to have to be dealing with this shit further down the line. And I thought, I don't know. She said, you publish it yourself, otherwise it's going to take forever in poetry land. As we know, it takes forever. I never published a chapbook. It totally overwhelmed me. But as I sat with it, I thought it was really important. And this was before the pandemic. This was 8 months ago. And so I started exploring, and I asked my friend Bruce about publications, and I asked my friend Lucy, and I asked a lot of poetry people, and it all began to start happening. And I thought of it as a chapbook about that sort of would give the history that we've been through since 2016, since before the election in 2016, in a few poems, and that's what it does. And I thought of it as an expression of my sense of grief and my sense of inspiration from Elijah Cummings, and I have a poem written in his voice in this collection, which I'll read, and because he, for me, represented so much about somebody who had a real moral compass and was keeping us to our moral compass. But having seen what we saw last Tuesday, I just need to say that it was so appalling, and at the same time, it seems so important that we kind of wake us up about how incredibly vital this election is, to see, you know, true, brute, nasty evil on one side, and somebody who is disciplined and decent and empathetic and strong in his beliefs on the other side. We just can't allow this to continue. So, you know, my way of doing stuff as poetry. Other people do other things. Dan, you know, does all kinds of other political stuff. I think we just all need to do what we do to make sure that this comes to an end, because it's absolutely unbearable.
Well, thank you, Naomi and Dale. I think that it's 10 after now, so we should begin even if some people are still showing up. I'm really honored to be hosting such talented people. Naomi and Dale are going to read alternating their poems out of their 2 chapbooks. Then we'll have Misha sing, and then we'll have open mic limited to those who signed up in advance. We want to keep this whole event to about an hour and a half. Naomi is the winner of numerous prizes, author of many books, poetry editor for Psychology Perspectives, and a Jungian analyst. She is a blogger worth reading at sisterfrombelow.com. Dale is the author of 7 books and 4 chapbooks of poetry. He's heavily influenced by the surrealists and cut-up writers such as William Burroughs and Brian Gysin. So unless there is any further comment, Misha, do you want to say anything?
I think that just while Dale and Naomi are reading, Bruce and I will turn off our cameras so that the attention can go to Dale and to Naomi. But also, we really ask that you not put any comments or thoughts or questions or perspectives in the chat while they are reading. There will be time for that later. The chat can become very distracting to some people, and so we want to give everyone the equal opportunity to listen and enjoy. And we will authorize, I mean, the chat is open, but our preference is that you not put anything in the chat while they are reading.
Okay, with no further ado, it's time for our poets.
I just want to say that this chapbook is held on a thread of fragments of a long poem, and I'll be reading these fragments, and then there'll be longer poems. So I'm going to begin with a fragment, and then Dale is going to read a poem. The long poem that this is fragments from is called Dream of a City. If you are a dream disguised as a city, I've dreamt you so often, dreamt wore her trance, reflecting the black prow slipping through. Dreamt that old dance with a single oar over the glittering scales of the always writhing sea serpent.
This is an early one, written early during the last 4 years process. Donald's potluck. Donald Trump took a bag of poisoned potato chips to the potluck. The bottoms of his shoes sucked all the colors out of the carpet, making it as white as a KKK hood. Meanwhile, his minions added a layer of Nazi-made bricks to the walls of the house. Now that I'm here, he pronounced, this event is huge. Everybody is happy. But he was the only one there because everyone else had fled as the bricks leaned inward and even the roof he'd held up with hot air started to collapse.
In 2016, before the election, my mother had descended into Alzheimer's, my beloved, wonderful mother. And my mother was a refugee from the Nazis, and her native language was German. And in her decline into Alzheimer's, she developed a strange language that sounded very German to me. But I looked it up, and it wasn't. It was just her made-up language. So this poem is based on her language and my longing to be able to talk to her about what I'm afraid of. And it's called What I Want to Tell My Mama. Only she's gone. A slight rustle of reeds at the edge of the pond. A paw print in the mud. Sometimes she takes my hand like a curious 2-year-old, tracing my veins, touching my rings. Mutti, you've dived down below your German gutturals, found your own Ur tongue, Krim Krotz, Olam Bolam. If you were who you used to be, Mama, I tell you about that scary man, that chaos man with caterwauling hair who beats his chest and threatens to drive us back into the tohu bohu. He'd build a golden wall, high as the Great Wall of China, impenetrable as negative space, a magnificent wall to keep the likes of us, refugees and our rabble children, out of America. Mama, he's a huckster, a big hunk of catastrophe. Flasher man, slasher man, hair sprayed into Caesar's brass helmet. Olam bolam, criminy crutz. All the ghosts we keep in the closet rush in shrieking. It's the Nazis, it's the fascists, it's the Cossacks, it's the Huns, it's Joseph McCarthy as hairspray man, come to eat our young, run. He is the king of the hoax, the prince of evasion, makes sausage of our worst fears. We eat it. What he eats is cotton candy. Rem ram, remini hach. There's a gargantuan wall of broken glass between his lovers and his haters. Yet we are spellbound, Mama. How can I explain? He has hula dancer fingers. He curls them, unfurls them. We watch, mesmerized. On day one, hour one, you'll all be gone. Every last one of you enemy aliens. Kremini, kromini, olam, bolam. Mama, make him be gone.
I'm going to read two really short ones. This one was written the day after the election. Post-election fog 2016. Windows blindfolded, waiting for the execution. Even the sky is closed in fog. The music on the radio is turned so low that no notes can get through. There was an election, light lost. A ball of dead lead sits unsighted where there used to be sun. The election of death. How could you even pretend you had life on your mind when you voted for this guy? Atmosphere that is deep and inscrutable. Humidity of your own anger, your own tears.
So Bruce, I had it that you were going to read Within Sight. So why don't I read the fragment on page, my fragment, and then you could read Within Sight?
Okay.
Okay. Some say you're a fabrication, a city of stones stolen from other people's city, a flood pretending you are paradise, tied to a forest of long beams that pierce the sea bottom.
Within sight. I wonder how to keep alive in political fogs like this. Try the bright eyes within clouds. You need to remember your own bright eyes, that they can live like fire in grief for you to be able to see.
Okay. This is a long poem, and I'm going to take you back to a very traumatic moment for all of us. It's called Wishing in the Woods with Hillary. I wish you'd surprise me in the woods, Hillary, as you did that young mother, baby daughter on her back, the day after we lost you for president. She took a selfie. My daughter sent me the link. Who will we be without you in your moon-bright pantsuit? Who will stand up to the strong man when Michelle and Barack walk out of the White House and speak to us only in dreams? My wish is to see you among trees, their leaves gone gold and crimson, or dry and dead on the ground. Your little dog will sniff me, and you, who've been pilloried, your goodness debunked as though working for women and children lacks gravitas, as though gravitas is a loaded scrotum whose natural enemy is a woman with powers. Mother trudged from father's study to kitchen to bathroom and back when he whistled. I kid you not, he whistled. She typed his manuscripts, cooked, bathed children, darned socks. Hillary, she was the air we breathed, the water we swam in, the earth we walked on, our hearth, our heartbeat. Her powers invisible to the kingdom of men. But oh, she was fierce about voting for you in '08. Now she's lost her way in the woods, lost my name, your fame, lost the whole world of visible powers, lost to the outcry, the pandemonium, the kids walking out of their schools shouting, not our president. The trees raise their boughs and prophesy. When the moon comes closer to earth than it's been since the day you were born, the haters will crawl out from under their rocks. The white-only nation come out of the woodwork. You won't know whose country you're in. Maybe our time is over, Hillary. All that email evil because you're attached to your old familiar, that BlackBerry. You refuse to waste time learning new smartphones. I'm with you. But my dear, the world is passing us by. That young mother in the woods after we lost you for president posted you and her baby daughter on Facebook. It went viral. My daughter sent me the link. Hillary, my wish is to surround you with sisters of the secret grove. We'll sit in a circle, kiss the earth with our holiest lips. We'll lift up our hands and pray for your healing, our healing, the healing of the disrespected, disaffected, molested, undocumented, Jim Crowed, and let's not forget the trees, the bees, the buffalo. We'll breathe into our bellies, our backbones grow into strong tree trunks, our roots descend. While I'm wishing, let's throw in a chorus of frogs and the smell of the earth after rain. For it's down going time in America, underworld time, time to hide out in a cave. How I wish for your company in the dark, Hillary. We'll make a fire, talk story, remember our mother's invisible powers. Maybe we'll sink into dream time. Maybe Michelle will visit. She'll wear a wonderful dress, remind us of grace, of joy. She'll speak from her heart. Though the weather's becoming a banshee goddess, though the white-only nation is trolling the web, though the emperor-elect is tweeting our downfall, my wish is, remember, the way of women is our way. The moon swells, the moon goes dark, pulling the tides in and out. The way of the trees is our way. So raise up your branches, sisters, for we are one gathering. Soon sap will rise, apple trees flower. Will weave us a canopy all over this land. It will be uprising time once again in America.
Excuse me, I'm going to read two here. The first one mentions Piltdown Man. Piltdown Man was an anthropological hoax. It happened early in the 20th century, where a couple of people who were sort of into the sciences decided they were going to prove that human beings evolved in England. So they got an ape skull and a human jaw and put them together and chemically aged them and buried them and then dug them up. And there they were. And people believed in Piltdown Man because it was in Piltdown, England for about 30, 40 years until all the research on human evolution tended to go in other directions. And finally, one of them confessed. So Piltdown Man was a real hoax. Outside the gas station. Last night, I dreamt that I was leaning up against a gas station wall. The stars spun themselves into a pattern that formed the skeleton of Piltdown Man. I felt all of my energy driven out of my veins, like blood seeking refuge in nothingness. The new sky stood almost fictional, like the moment between pulses when you feel the possibility of death. Bones, even bones that never existed. Even bones described as ancestral and sacred by the mouth of a petty dictator. The stars seemed dried as desiccated wood. I wonder if my very own bones still glisten, if the world still pumps alive outside of sleep. And then a shorter one, also written early in this process, 2016, 2017. Political retirement. The nervous systems of dead politicians take over your TV set. An imaginary wall behind your chair, urges you to watch. He's so decisive and at heart so loving with his slow gestures and his beautiful orange hair. Every day's a day off when you're dead.
Another fragment. The always writhing serpent below, you floating, you moonchild, you changeling, playing the tides, young couples dressed for the glittering, gliding under old bridges, through the full circle. And this next poem will take you into another very painful moment for all of us. September 27th, 2018, the Kavanaugh hearings. And it's called Me Too. All of us are you, Christine, in this moment. All of us in tears, because that's what we do when we're mad. All of us took off the day to watch you tell what few of us have ever dared to tell. All of our eyes dart from senator to prosecutor. Prosecutor? Whose nightmare is this? Some of us watched Anita Hill face those same white men those same dead fish eyes a generation ago. Anita was so self-possessed. Not one hair went astray in her careful dew. While your scared hair, Christine, flows around, tangles in your eyeglass frames, tries to hide the terrified 15-year-old in you we all are. For who of us has not felt that heavy hand over our mouth? Who of us has not feared death by suffocation? Who of us has not heard that nasty laughter? Shirley Chisholm locked herself in chambers, wept her rage at those old boys who dismissed, diminished her, betrayed her. They could not tolerate a Black woman running for president. Who of us did not feel primordial fear when Hillary spoke up while that guy with that schlong of a tie stalked her, mocked her? Who of us did not feel the hot tongs of the Inquisition when in the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland in 2016, a guy with a tie incited the crowd to lock her up, lock her up? All of us know what happens to those who refuse to do the patriarchal dance of diffidence. We're stalked, pilloried, diagnosed as disturbed in the womb. We bleed from our eyes. Well, you're showing them, Christine, not one iota of rage, not a drop of disturbance. You make sweet and pliant eye contact. Name your terror. Though sometimes we glimpse the owl in your soul, how your roots reach down to your own hard truth. You're a flower in a fierce wind, pulling petals in close. Until storm over, goddess willing, you rise to your full stature, dismiss the security detail, return to your everyday work, home, with its 2 front doors, teach psychology, make dinner, walk the dog, help the boys with their homework. But this is not the end of it. Your dance of diffidence settles nothing. He's back, the one we all remember from forever, beating his chest, roaring. No one stops his predatory attack, his entitled engorgement, for which we are a handy piece of flesh to be grabbed, groped, banged, nailed to a broken branch of the tree. All of us know what he's not saying, that we're witches, bitches. We are, let's say it aloud, cunts. And what is a cunt but a portal into a new world? We all come through, unless Caesar gets his way. And what is a witch but a woman of power who knows her own nature, is a part of all nature? In my dream, a brilliant Black girl paints the world in every living color. She's changing woman, woman of the craft, woman becoming us all. She runs strong as a wild horse, dodges rocks and fissures. Maybe it's your dream, Christine, and we're all with you on the wings of the owl in the deepest part of the woods, where the oak groves remembers the ones we were before. We were grabbed, groped, banged, nailed.
Sort of following the same strain of Trumpdom. Donald Trump has admitted to it, and he has been accused of sexual harassment and is being sued. And one of the objects of his sexual harassment apparently was 13 years old at the time. He was much younger than he is now. He was 48. So that sort of led to this one. I used the word nubile. And I use it in the original sense, which means of marriageable age. The wolf born to riches. Rich man's Christmas time, a lifelong play, offering nubile or pubescent gifts to burnt out messiahs, torn feet that leave bloody tracks as a spectacle of love. This was we cherish the thought, an inability to understand its emotionally scrubbed gleam. The secrets she's been keeping behind her ears, her existence, an apple to be bobbed for, his collection of little girls in his coat's right pocket. There is young. There is a bony disease that supports rotting towers, a rumored love nest, its forced teenage grins. Count the bubbles from a drowning telephone to be sure. He would be caught if there were an insect alarm, orange hair behind the bars of a penthouse window. And I'm going to do one more in this set. Reference, Catullus was a Roman poet who died about 10 years before Julius Caesar started the process of changing the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. And the first 3 lines of this poem are from one of Catullus's insult poems. Catullus thinks of Donald Trump. It doesn't bother me at all that you clean your teeth with piss as orange as your hair. Rome is a republic. Claudia right now sits watching the street waiting for me by a window on the 2nd floor of her husband's mansion. She does not think of you. Rome is a republic. Here, settled in my favorite seat in an outdoor theater watching an awful play about gods I barely believe in, I do not believe in you either, oh one of puffy eyes and ear and hair of rotted straw that would shame a wild animal or even a barbarian. The true order of things, I do believe in that, precludes you, who would turn crowds mindless enough to riot before your games and after you came to power, who think that the world is made for yourself, while even my loves, all of them, do not think it is made for me. So here I am, watching some idiot on the theater floor, instead of writing love poems to my Claudia, she who may be the one who murders me before I'm 30, before the name Caesar is anything but a family name, before anyone with orange skin and hair of a texture that almost defines disease seeks his presence to defame the name of anyone from any old Roman family. Rome is a republic.
Fragment. Dreamt lion devoured me for love of narrow passages, ended by stone walls, sudden canals, someone's footsteps behind me. Dreamt water's lilting loveliness, becoming land, becoming water. Dreamt night terrors in the lion's mouth. Now I'm going to read you the poem about Elijah Cummings. It's called The Spirit of Elijah Speaks. He died on October 17th, 2019, which seems like a billion years ago. And I have an epigraph from him, our children are the living messengers we send into a future we will never see. Open the door. I'm here to haunt the house. I didn't mean to leave you all in the lurch. Covenants broken, the Constitution under siege. My time has expired. I beg you, guard this moment. I didn't mean to leave you all in the lurch. Been signing subpoenas to the end of my breath. My time has expired. I beg you, guard this moment. What will you do to protect our democracy? Been signing subpoenas to the end of my breath. Was called to earth to speak truth to abuse. What will you do to protect our democracy? I come from sharecroppers. Our ancestors were slaves. Was called to earth to speak truth to abuse. Became master of the house and chair of oversight. I come from sharecroppers. Our ancestors were slaves. Was shown the glory of the separation of powers. Became master of the house and chair of oversight. Thou shalt not separate children from parents seeking asylum. Behold the glory of the separation of powers. Thou shalt not arouse the crowd's bad blood, high dudgeon. Thou shalt not separate children in cages, leave them sitting in feces. We're better than that. Thou shalt not arouse the crowd's bad blood, high dudgeon. Who will speak truth to the master of mendacity? We're better than that. He has slandered the people of my home city, Baltimore. Who will speak truth to the master of mendacity? You've got only one life, and within you, a still, small voice. He has slandered the people of my home city, Baltimore. The forefathers warned us, beware of demagogues. Does he ever listen to that still, small voice? Look in the mirror, poet. That haunt in your eyes is the spirit of your father. This demagogue, this walking catastrophe has roused me from the dead. Look in the mirror, America. That haunt in your eyes is me, your ancestral refugee. Never break our covenant with Lady Liberty. Guard the Constitution. My name is Elijah. Open the door.
I'm going to do 3 more. The task of the gods. The people who fought over Troy, the Troy buried under 5 later Troys and then dug up by a 19th century romantic, are safe enough to be dead now. Even millennia ago, they were safe enough that when a poet codified their exploits, blind to their terror and pain, that he had them all speaking the same language, his dialect, which none of them had ever heard, and had them all worshiping the same gods he did. The same gods that we toy with now. Raise your hands, statues, if you still believe in Zeus or Aphrodite. Raise your hands or we'll bury you again under the roadways and apartment houses that we've built over your ruins. Zeus is a toy, is a stand-in for the power of the curses people thought he could make. I said Zeus is a stand-in. The weather's bad today. The guy who thinks he owns the country is angry and insane. I get a sinking, quickening of my pulse as I say this. But some young man is looking for a woman who will make his heart come alive for him. I have been that young man. He is not buried. Aphrodite, help him, please. And we're talking about truth and who you believe. And sometimes during this process, you really wonder. Astronomer of truth. It comes every day, the inexact night when the stars cluster more approximately than the constellations they taught you to see. Other days you think you remember are so much different from this one. And the dog down the street should have told you. But someone, maybe him, has been moving his bones around to where that future won't find them. Your teacher should have told you. Your apple should have told you. The flute that leads the dawn should have told you. The stars themselves should have told you they're all liars. And now you're looking at them, wondering what they have to teach you next. And this will end. And this is the last poem in the chapbook. Sorrow post-Trump. Maybe tomorrow, the 4 solar appearances we've missed will appear in the same sky in the same hour. Maybe tears will become rain again. The hours you spent hurt, crunched, can fold in time to memory with only the pain of a cut hand in memory to remind you. The skin of a scar is light and silvery, a road to a new firmament, where the stars show silvery and bright, each star itself a sun.
I'm going to read one more fragment and then a final poem. There is a garden, a fruit tree, a snake with the head of a woman, a black prow slipping through our water trance over the always writhing sea serpent. Now this last poem is not in this chapbook. It happened after the trauma of the loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Just knocked me over and I had to make a poem of it, and Bruce agreed that I should read it. And as you may remember, she died on Rosh Hashanah, Erev Rosh Hashanah, which is the evening before Rosh Hashanah, but that's a part of the holiday, part of the sacred time. And in the Jewish tradition, people who die during the high holidays are very special people. They're among the holy ones. It's called In the Wake of Our Lady of the Double-Edged Axe, the notorious RBG. Erev Rosh Hashanah in the year 5781. That's according to the Jewish calendar. The shofar wails. She's gone from her body, gone from her seat on the court, gone from her grip on what's equal, what's just, gone from her fierce resolve to keep breathing until January 20th, 2021. Everything hung on her small, frail frame. What will we do without her? Once I forgot I was real, a daughter of earth and sky, forgot what the angel had told me at birth. Once I had holes in my tongue from biting it, had blood on my hands from broken glass on the top of that wall. There was no escape. Throttled by custom, by law, I spat my teeth on the road. My fire was used to burn me up. My body did not belong to me, a vessel for lust, for seed. But you, our soft-spoken battle axe, our mother who was a falcon, had the cunning, the courage, the ken to seize the keys to the castle, the plantation, the prison, to deliver us from gender's cages, from shackles of race, from those scoundrels in power who steal from the poor and ransack the earth. The shofar wails. She's become one of the holy ones. No longer can everything hang on her small, frail frame. Too much for one body to bear. It's your fight now. Bless us, O falcon-headed soul of the notorious RBG, Our Lady of soaring vision, of focused attack, our messenger between the worlds. Sit on our shoulders, hunt in our dreams for the courage, the cunning, the keys, the double-edged axe we require to take our country back. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. Thank you both. Wonderful reading. Dreaming Night Terrors, which Naomi just read from. Did you say something? Dreaming Night Terrors
Is it my stuff or is it Bruce?
From
Bruce
the
kind of
publisher's
garbled?
website.
You're a bit garbled, Bruce.
I'm not coming.
Can you try to say that again?
You say it. Dreaming Night Terrors is available on Amazon or at the publisher's website, River Sanctuary Publishing. It costs $12. Dale's book, Trump Tics, is either available as an ebook from Smashwords, or you can email him to get a real copy for $5. I'll spell it JWALLEN@yahoo.com. Now we're going to hear from Misha, dedicated to the Black Lives Matter movement and sustainable activism. Misha is a trilingual singer and songwriter, a world language educator of 30 years, and heartstring healer for women, empowering women to embrace the coexistence of joy and pain so as to live in authentic and wholehearted joy one day at a time. Misha, take it away.
Thank you. I am putting in the chat. I also have a webinar. It's called Candid Conversation about systemic racism. And while I talk about that, feel free to put comments in the chat regarding Dale and Naomi's presentation. And I'll start in just a few minutes, and I'll just share some information about me while you do that. Share the love, any thoughts, inspiration you had from Dale or Naomi's readings. That would be great. Just take a moment to do that. And I'm going to post some more information in the chat for you. So here is more information. information. And then we also were going to post, again, for those people who were not here at the total beginning, how you can purchase, locate, identify the books by Naomi, Ruth Lowinsky, and Dale Jensen. So all of that should be in there. Hopefully you can all see all of that. So continue to feel the love. I've already tuned up my guitar. And Naomi and Dale, if you want to mute yourselves, you can keep your screens on. I don't mind if you're still there, but just check your mute status. Thank you. Bruce, you can still be here too, if you want to. So depending on how much time these each take, I haven't timed them. I'll sing 2, I might sing 3. So the first one is called I Broke My Silence. And not that great at strumming. I just learned guitar a year and a half ago. So it'll go the way it goes. Enjoy it or don't. All right, here we go. Oops. I broke my silence here today. There's just too much and not enough to say. My brothers and my sisters are crying in pain, dying by white hands like it's a game. I broke my silence here today. No, no, this is wrong. It is not okay. Your bodies, hearts, and lives are not to be their toys for these mean and stupid grown-ass boys. Do I see it? Not like you. Do I feel it? Not like you. Do I hear it? Not like you. I broke my silence here today. I stand up, I shout and chant, then I cry. While I'd like to think that's working, I just see those white supremacists smirking. I broke my silence here today. I can't really want your life, so I pray. Your baby smile made me shudder. Your elderly mothers made me stutter. Do I see it? Not like you. Do I feel it? Not like you. Do I hear it? Not like you. I'm not a shero, no, don't claim to be. But I care about our community. What can I do? How does it end? more than my words I'd like to lend. Watching like a slow motion silent film, 'cause I'm not like you. You living in the horror, being hit by one senseless death after another. Your pain is real, your pain is real. Feeling so helpless, and I'm not like you. Worry for my children, but not the way you do. Do I see it? Not like you. Do I feel it? Not like you. Do I hear it? Not like you. Not like you. Not like you. So that's the first one. I broke my silence, and the invitation is, if you feel like you've been silent, to break it. Please. I beg of you. It can be painful. It can be painful to break our silence. We might make mistakes. We might say the wrong thing, but the more we speak up, the better we are as allies, the more united we are. So this is another call to action song. It's called A Different Life. Sit here by my window, see all the same things. Lush green trees and purple flowers, then there's my fantasy. A world where all will love and live in joyous harmony. Such a peaceful place which holds on, yes, to you and to me. Am I willing to change my life? Am I willing to say that's enough? Am I willing to help you thrive? Am I willing to speak up to save your life? Am I willing to speak up to save your life? Sat here every morning, believing things would change. So much hate, I often wondered, how could it stay the same? Here it was, I found the pain, my chair where I remained. My voice was silent, ignorance maintained. Am I willing to change my life? Am I willing to say that's enough? Am I willing to help you thrive? Am I willing to speak up to save their lives? Am I willing to speak up to save their lives? Life. Are you willing to say that's enough? Are you willing to help others thrive? Are you willing to speak up to save their lives? Are you willing to? Are you willing to? How do we not see that we contribute to those murdered where we must now pay tribute? We cannot sit. Please raise your voices. Ask the questions. You have those choices. Are you willing to change your life? Are you willing to say that's enough? Are you willing to help others thrive? Are you willing to? 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 Are you willing to speak up to save their lives? Yeah, that was the last chord somewhere. Thank you very much. I know we don't have more time for the third one, but the third song is recently written. It's called Prorated, and it's also about the way Black lives are treated. So back to you, Bruce. And we'll let me know who's the first person on the open mic list, and then I'll let him in.
All right, open mic readers. Misha's going to let you in to the active view from your hidden view. And you can use your mic and video then. You'll be spotlighted for 3 minutes. If you go over 3 minutes, we'll object. There'll be room for comments and chat at the end of the evening. For now, let's focus on the individual open mic reader. The first reader is Michael Kelly, and the second will be Judy Wells.
And if Naomi and Gail can turn off your video cameras so that the only person we end up seeing is Michael, that would be great. Michael, can you speak up so I know you're heard?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and are you able to turn on your camera?
Yes.
There you are.
Michael Kelly from Rock Island, Illinois. This one is entitled Impertinence. Guardrails along the road have been removed. A drug-addled maniac is driving the vehicle, a van, white, without windows, only side mirrors and a windshield. The radio is blaring. Rash talk of radio host's conspiracy. Sometimes the driver is laughing, or he cries, tears for himself, blurring his eyes, blinding him. He knows he is going to hell, a hell unheard of until now. The drive along the river of forgetfulness is a speedy one, with no time for the view of boiling sulfurous plumes. He is at his destination as he goes forward, seemingly going in a forward direction. His awakening awaits his floundering consciousness at a time when his darkness descends downward, deeper into his very special abyss, one he created decades ago with his ignorance, arrogance, greed, and hatred. The malignancy of his narcissism will cast his fate. He will be alone, alone with himself for eons yet to come. He will feel the pains and suffering he has caused on his skin alone. The smells of rotting garbage and dying putrefaction will be his own flesh and bones. He will taste of nothing but the bitter and acrid chemicals causing burns on his internal organs because of his greed and hatred. His sights will be filled with him seeing himself corroding and decaying into the filth that is himself. The sounds his ears and mind will be hearing are his own decadence, replying to his arrogance and contempt for other life forms, replaying constant variations of his own suffering. This all plays out here in the land of forgetfulness. There is no emptiness, no space, just piteous suffering in a moated castle with gate drawn up and windows shuttered, bolted shut for eons. Castle roaming among ghosts of the past deeds of malfeasance is the plight of the ignorant ones who fail to learn, read, grow, thrive, and progress in happiness. Thank you.
Next will be Judy Wells and then Georgette Howington.
So I am actually not seeing Judy Wells in the attendance unless she's under a different name.
I'm here with Dale Jensen.
Oh, you're Judy.
My husband. Yeah.
All right.
So, I'm in
Yeah.
Berkeley. So I'm under his name on the screen, under
Terrific.
Dale Jensen.
You may
Hi.
go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is called Votes for Women, Part 1, November 7th, 2016. On the eve of the 2016 election of the first woman president of the United States, Hillary Rodham Clinton, I am happy to discover that my great-grandmother, Phoebe Dickinson Webb, age 77, was registered to vote in 1912 in California as a Republican, then the party of Abraham Lincoln. And in 1916 as a progressive, the party of reformer Theodore Roosevelt, which promoted women's suffrage. California women received the right to vote in 1911, 9 years before the 19th Amendment gave all women that right. So Phoebe, as I march to the polls to give my vote to Hillary Rodham Clinton, I'll think proudly of you, Phoebe, one of the first California women to cast a vote independently, as you did, of your husband, Frank Webb, for he had died in 1908, and you moved from your Walnut Creek Ranch to a hotel in San Francisco. Bravo, Phoebe. I, your great-granddaughter, age 72, will vote for the first woman president. Part 2, November 9th, 2016. Phoebe, in a shocking upset, the misogynistic, racist, bombastic, billionaire businessman Donald Trump defeated Hillary Rodham Clinton. I wore black today in mourning. Young people poured out onto the streets. Not my president, they shouted, in Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco, New York, Philly, Chicago, Seattle, as Hillary Clinton conceded with grace and dignity, telling women, nothing has made me prouder than to be your champion, and urging us never stop believing that fighting for what's right is worth it. Phoebe, I've been through ecstasy, agony, shock, and depression in a scant few hours. I expected a strong, courageous, experienced woman to run our country and be a role model. Now I'm back to myself, trying to live one day at a time with dignity and grace, trying to figure out how. Thank you.
Next is Georgette Howington, but we don't see her. Georgette, are you there? If not, we'll move on to Adrienne Amundsen, and then after that, we'll go for Sherry Lovier, however you say that. Well, it appears that Georgette is not with us, so it's Adrienne's turn.
Okay, how do I do that? Okay, hello. Hang on, I gotta shut the door because the dogs just went out. I also wrote a poem about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the day she died. She held on as long as she could, cancer eating her body, chemo that would have felled a lesser woman. She must have felt us all leaning on her and stood as long as she could, like a great tree in a burning forest. As trees send out their desperate calls to others in their tribe, send chemical signals to quickly seed, send pheromones to fend off the predators, so her endurance fueled our fight as the violent hordes moved in. We tried to prepare, but the earth shook when she fell, and tears poured like the storms we've called for during this time of drought and fire. Can we hold the door without you, beloved? Each of us a sister rising in your circle, unopened seeds bursting open in the fire, beginning the long, slow journey from shoot to sapling, sapling to tree, remaking the forest even as it burns. This poem I wrote the day that we all woke up to an orange world because of the fires and the smoke. Last week, the sky was orange. Last week, the sky was orange. Everyone posted pictures and said, apocalyptic. Already we were caged by the new plague, masked to stave off the virus. The next day it was gray, not quite fog, not quite smoke. Thick haze of ash, flakes of what once were heavy beams holding up someone's home. Little plastic pianos where children tapped out tunes, whole wardrobes and photo albums, the skin and fur of someone's cat. All of this we breathed while we watched the world unfolding. Unfolding, dismantling, falling to pieces, burning to the ground. We learned about air quality apps and daily checked to see if we were allowed to breathe. I saw pictures of redwoods burning from within, but hoped that some would survive and seed their sisters. Last week, someone broke my heart. I draw a shroud around my story. What is private remains private, while the great world's heartbreak throbs all around, shared. I walked in the redwoods with my son for solace, and the pink light they shed filtered the smoke. Still, my eyes stung, and I knew that just over the rise, the coast was in flames.
Perfect timing.
Good.
Sherry Loveler is next, and then John Jackson.
And they are both on the same camera. So I will spotlight them. Oops. I just sent him back. Sorry about that, John. Oh, shoot. Where are you? Ah, technology. Okay, John, you're coming back on to be a panelist. I mean, Sherry. All right.
There I am.
There we go.
There you are.
Do you have me unmuted?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to make you, I'm just trying to spotlight you. So give me 1 second.
All right.
All right, you're all set.
Okay, I am Sherry Loveler, a poet and a painter from Santa Rosa, California. This is my book on softer ground, paintings, poetry, and calligraphy. The winter of my coming. It is the winter of my coming, the long drawn out days of retreat. Over and over I ask myself, how do I live today? As if on its own it is consequential, as if every moment is recorded and revisited, as if every moment matters. We live in the time we were born into. This one, the beginning of the end, or the renewal. We don't know which yet. Fires, floods, pandemic, democracy's decline, the hidden and the seen, all mixed together in the same cauldron. We drink of it daily. It tosses and turns in our stomachs and minds. Each of us full yet hungry, hungry for life to begin again. We want what we had, but those days are gone. We move forward into the end or the renewal. Every choice leads to the answer. Every moment metered and noted. Every morning asking, how do I live today? Every step positioned as if it matters, because it's the only thing that does. And I have another poem to my ancestors. This one was published in the Redwood Writers 2020 Poetry Anthology. To my ancestors. To you, whom I did not know. To you who took the steps to create your future, to carve a path as your world turned upside down. To you who left your country, your soil, to brave the seas, to start over and take a chance on life. To linger in thoughts and dreams and aspirations. To you who created the footsteps to continue life, to want more, to nurture and bring forth a new generation. To you who let me be born out of the desire of the human soul, I thank you.
And now the other person in the room, John Jackson, and then Dan Slobin.
Thank you. Sherry is evacuated here from Santa Rosa because of the fires, which is why we're together reading. I'm John Jackson. I'm a retired psychiatrist in Sebastopol, and I'm also reading tonight from the Redwood Writers 2020 Poetry Anthology. And this is a poem called Showtime. Are we ready to step aside and let the other speak through our children, through the ones we've said don't matter, through the ones that say me too, to the vacant void, through the ones that die every day, everywhere around the world, to whom we say, we support you, as they fall and they say, no, you never will, and you never have. Are we ready to let another species awaken us? The things we've always said we believe? The ones who say, you hypocrites, you who settled for soft beds and something supposedly normal. Are we ready to say enough, as others have always said time and again, with no credibility? Those whom we say we must help but never do, not really. Can we give up our comfortable lives, our dominion? We thought what we did so long ago made us worthy of it. Are we willing to lay down ourselves, our reputations, our careers, our safety, all on the line? Are we willing to take a stand at last, after so many years, when we thought we'd won way back then? We'd done our part. There was nothing more. Are we? If not, you know, our children will die, our spouses demeaned, our dark selves will lie on the streets dead as thousands spit and sink into poverty and shit. And you will go on in your comfortable life until one day you are brought down too. Believe me, please, our large work was never finished. It has again been thrown to the ground. And it will happen again unless you wake up now. Unless you say enough now at what is in front of you. Or don't. Your decision. I'll honor that. But then I won't be there to help you when your life is adrift and you need me, because I will be gone one way or another. Thank you.
Bruce, are you there?
Next up is Dan Slobin and then Jan Diedrich. Did you hear that?
Yes. Okay, Dan, I'm just spotlighting you and you are ready to go.
Okay, thank you. I'm Dan Slobin in Berkeley. I'm a retired professor of psycholinguistics, that's psychology and linguistics. And I write poetry and translate poetry, among many other things. I was going to read some poems about COVID and about finding solidarity and meaning while sheltering in place, but that doesn't seem to be the theme for this evening, so I'm going to do something else. I'm going to read a translation I've written of a poem by Nelly Sachs, a translation from German. Nelly Sachs got the Nobel Prize in 1966. She and her mother escaped from Germany in 1940, a week before they were to be sent to a concentration camp. This poem is called Peoples of the Earth, Völker der Erde. I'll read my translation. Peoples of the earth, you who wrap yourselves like spools of thread in the power of unknown constellations, you who sew up and then unravel what is sewn, you who climb up into the confusion of tongues like into beehives in order to sting and be stung in sweetness. Peoples of the earth, do not destroy the cosmos of words. Do not use knives of hatred to shred sound which is born together with breath. Peoples of the earth, may no one mean death when saying life, nor blood when speaking cradle. Peoples of the earth, leave words at their source, for it is they who can move horizons into true heavens, and with the side that they have turned away, like a mask behind which night yawns, they help give birth to stars. I think that's all I'll read, since the other poems are not in the mood of the evening.
Okay. Well, then, thank you. And Jan Diedrich is up. And after that will be another Jan Steckel.
I don't see Jan Diedrich. Are you here under a different name, perhaps, Jan? Maybe put in the comments if you're here.
John Rowe, maybe? Is that name on your screen?
Oops. I don't know where, I don't see that name either, no. So I guess we can bring on Jan Steckel.
Yes, Jan, and we'll see what color hair Jan has tonight.
Ooh, exciting.
Jan, you're up.
Yep, bringing her on. There she is.
Hey, good to see everybody. Misha and Naomi and Dale, thank you so much for giving such beautiful and skillful voice to what we are all feeling. I can't write poetry since the pandemic started. I've only written one poem, and it's all coming out prose. So this is called 4th of July 2020. My best friend, her 9-year-old daughter, my husband, and I are on my garage roof on the 4th of July in Oakland, California, watching commercial-grade illegal fireworks all over the city, including right over us. Next door, the half Salvadoran, half Nicaraguan, all American neighbor girls dance on their roof against the explosions. On the other side, the mom-speaking wife-beater holds his 2-year-old girl and his 8-year-old daughter's hand on top of his own garage roof. The 8-year-old waves. It's all a big party. After a couple of hours, my best friend's kid says she wants cake. I have ice cream. No, she wants cake. I have bread and jam or gluten-free fig Newtons, only cake. So her guilt-ridden single working mom climbs down the ladder to buy her tween a Twinkie at the Quick Stop. I assume she'll take her car because it's 11 o'clock at night and this is Oakland. While she's gone, I spot someone a few houses over running through a backyard carrying a garden hose. They throw the tip of the hose over a fence and smoke starts billowing up. Okay, I say to the best friend's kid, there is a fire and we are going to get down. Give Uncle Hugh mommy's cell phone so he can call the fire department. Uncle Hugh put on a glove to grab the phone. Then I see a man come running out the back door of the house belonging to the garden hose. He yells, "Get the fuck out of here," and fires his gun half a dozen times. I see the orange flashes. I say, okay, we're all gonna lie down flat now. My husband calls 911 and they don't care about the gunfire at all, but transfer him immediately to the fire department. At this point, my best friend comes back and stands down in the garden, ranting about how the convenience store was closed. So she walked into the liquor store across the street and no one in there was socially distancing or wearing masks. I explain about the fire and the gunfire. We hand the kid down the ladder and then climb down ourselves. We sit in the off-brand ding-dongs my friend bought and listening for sirens which never come. I berate my friend for walking through late night in Oakland by herself. Next time she should take one of us with her. As for the lack of masks in a liquor store in a Black and Latinx neighborhood at midnight on the 4th of July, I'm shocked that she's shocked. That's it, she says. She's taking the kid and moving back to town until there's a vaccine. And she did.
Great drama.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. What a great ending to the evening. So that's it. We're right on time. And perhaps there will be a word or two from our poets. And we're done.
Okay.
Naomi, are you able to? There she is. Yep. Oh, you. Oops.
Well, maybe a little bit.
There you
Here
are.
I am. I was so moved by everything. Thank you, everybody who participated. It was really beautiful and moving. And Misha, your singing was so moving and so lovely, but I already knew that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Misha. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce, and Misha for holding us.
Yeah, I do have some words, but they're not spontaneous words. They're on the back of Tics, and if you get the ebook version, they're on the copyright page. This book is dedicated to everyone taking a stand against the monster. Be brave. You are not alone. And we're not alone. I think we did that tonight. I think every time you see people in the street who are demonstrating their thoughts about the situation, you know that's true. And the really basic thing, of course, this sounds like, you know, it's a routine, but it's not. Vote. You know, for the sake of the world, vote.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Bruce. Just having final comments around this election, but also, yes, voting, we absolutely have to vote, help other people vote. Some people actually don't know how to fill out the ballots. Maybe you can reach out to help young people who are voting for the first time. But I also am putting in the chat some resources that were given to me. They're scaffolding resources they're basically anti-racism resources. And then I also have a link for resources for being more learned allies. And this is a list that I compiled along with other people. So feel free to click on those links and save them. I believe everyone should be able to save the chat. If you go down to the lower box of the chat, there are 3 dots. Click on that and select Save Chat, and then it'll save to your hard drive, and you can always look that back up again. But those links have podcasts, interviews, articles, books, charities, organizations, Black Led. There's just so much wonderful content there. Sustainable action is what's going to keep us going and keep us together. And so if your sustainable action is to donate $100 a month to something, then that's your sustainable action. If your sustainable action is reading a book and sharing what you learned with 3 other people, that's sustainable action. If your sustainable action is attending my webinar every other week, that's sustainable action, something you know you can do on a regular basis. So those are resources for you. And yeah, thank you everyone for showing up and for.
Misha, I want to say one thing. I want everybody to know that thanks to Misha's help, this is going to be uploaded onto my YouTube channel. And if you have friends whom you think would benefit from the poetry evening, they'll be able to see it.
Absolutely. And we do have a question from a panelist. Anita, go ahead and ask your question. You can unmute. You know how to, can you unmute yourself? Or did you maybe not mean to raise your hand? That happens. Okay, we will send her back to the panel, the attendees. All you, Bruce, you have anything else to say?
Well, let's hope the beast is not slouching towards Bethlehem to be born.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone.